Okay, hello everyone. Hope you all are having a great weekend so far. Having a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Yesterday, my wife and I celebrated our 26th wedding anniversary. Our anniversary was actually a few days ago, but due to my work schedule and stuff like that, we celebrated it last night. Had a wonderful dinner. We went to a Brazilian steakhouse, and man, that I had probably the best steak I have ever tried in my life. And this is going to sound weird, but I got Brazilian macaroni and cheese. And man, that was the best. I ordered it with lobster in it. And good grief, man, that stuff was good. Had a great time. So, 26 years being married to my wife, I'm a lucky man. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with what we're here for, and that's to talk about the release of the JWM Iso based on NuTyX. It's now available, and I will put the links here in the description of the video. What you'll do, you'll go to the NuTyX MiyoLinux site on SourceForge, come over here to Files, the Files tab. Well, you could just click right here, I guess, and go ahead and download it straight away. But it's here in this 2019 1204 folder. Cherry was kind enough to go ahead and upload this and make it available for people. So there it is right there, the JWM Iso. It's already had a few downloads. Oh, it's already had 12. Okay. So I'll put the link to this in the description, and also I want to encourage you to go to the NuTyX website, look over the documentation page, look over the download page. It gives he does an excellent job of providing information for people who may be new to NuTyX. Okay. So let me close that out. Now this is going to be my second time trying to record this video, and I'm going to have to do it a little differently. Let me go ahead and pull up VirtualBox. I am not a VirtualBox aficionado. I hardly ever use VirtualBox, and when I do use it on the rare occasion, I still don't know what I'm doing. But that's the only way that I can, unless I just videoed the whole installation with my cell phone, that's the only way I know to show people how to install this. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt this again. I've already set it up again, so let's hit start. And please understand, a lot of the problems is probably due to my computer. Now if you notice, when you boot into it, you have this install or live. Now you can install it from the live version, and if you do that, well, I'll talk about that later. Let's go ahead and check out the live version, and then I'm going to come back to install. Okay, so I'm going to click on enter here on live, and I'm going to make that full screen. I'm going to show you the little trick I use once we boot into the system of how to make it go full screen. I know there's different ways to do it. It's just the way I do it, but you may not want to take my advice because I don't know what I'm doing on VirtualBox. Now the ISO, it's 64-bit. It will boot in either BIOS or UEFI. I've tested it on both and it works fine. So just keep that in mind. And I do want to stress, if you do decide to try this ISO, what I recommend, just to save you some hassle, what I recommend is that you hook your computer up with an Ethernet cable. If you're using wireless, go ahead and use an Ethernet cable to try the system out live and during the installation. And then after installation, then you can install Network Manager, or I believe Wicked is available. Alright, here we're choosing our locale. Now NuTyX is a little different than most. You have to choose your locale and keyboard layout and set up a temporary user while in the live session. So just use your arrow keys to scroll around till you find your locale. There's United States English, that's me. And this takes just a moment to set this up. So basically what you're doing, you're kind of doing something similar to an installation to check it out in the live environment, because you're going to set up a user and a password, and then when you get past that, you're going to boot into the login screen. Alright, choose your keyboard. Mine is US right there. Hit enter. Alright, we have to set up our Ethernet here. Use the space bar to put a star to mark that parentheses right there, and hit OK, hit enter. Enter for auto. And I just go through these, I just hit enter, enter, enter. Hardware clock, yes. Calendar, yes. Time, yes. And now we have to set up a temporary user. You cannot use user, you have to change it. So I'll just use my real name, Dan. Dan, that doesn't have to match, it can be whatever you want it to be, but I use my name. And now we have to make a temporary password. This can be just one character, or it can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to use the number 1. Okay, 1. Because this is just temporary. And now we should boot into the login screen. Alright, log in. It's showing the user. Enter the password you created. Okay, and there's the default desktop. Now, to go full screen, this is what I do. I just log back out and log back in. Boom, okay. And my super password. And there's the default desktop. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. If you watched the previous video, you basically know what you're getting, and you're not getting a whole lot. It's a very base system, allowing you to put on it what you want. Let me open up the file manager. Here in the file manager are the release notes. So I'd like to encourage you to open those up and read them. Go over them. I'll go over them real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. I'll go over some basic commands that you will use with NuTyX if you're not used to NuTyX. I give the cards command. NuTyX has its own package manager called cards. So I give the cards command and an alias. Alright. Now these aliases were not set up by me. They're the official aliases that come with NuTyX. If an alias is available, I'll list it here. Alright. So sync the repos, how to search for a package, how to install a package, how to remove a package, how to upgrade the system, and how to create a new user. And if you want to create a root user, sudo works out of the box on NuTyX. If you want to have a root user, you need to create it. Alright, so that's what you would use one of these two commands here for. And of course, when you create the root user, the name of the root user needs to be root. Alright, and if you want more information, you can enter either of these two commands in the terminal. I give information about JWM menu, and basically everything here in the applications section. This is a dynamic menu, but when you add an application or remove an application, you need to come down here and hit refresh menu. Otherwise it will not show up until you do, or it won't be removed from the menu until you do. So just remember that if you add or remove an application, you need to refresh the menu. Okay, the theme changer. I'll talk about this for just a moment. Let me move this down out of the way a little bit. The theme changer, if you go out and get maybe you have your own JWM file that you like and you want to use it instead of one of the two that's provided, it's not going to automatically add that to the theme changer. This is just a very simple theme changer that I came up with, and if you want to use a different JWM file for one of these, or if you want to edit the JWM file that is provided, what you'll need to do is copy either the one you want to use or the one you have edited, and if you want to use it as one of the two included themes, you need to copy it and put it in the correct folder so that it will be available as one of those two themes. Or you can look over the JWM file and you can see how to add other themes manually if you want to do that. But what you would do is, if you're just going to replace one of those two themes, you would open your file manager, or you can do it through the terminal if you know how to do it through the terminal. Let me show hidden files. Here's the JWM file. Let's say we have edited this and we want that now to be our default light theme. We're on the light theme right now. That's the JWM file we edited. So let me copy this one and then come up here to config or .config JWM light theme, and we would paste it in here and override it. And now your JWM file, or the one that you have edited, will become the default light theme. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Oh, everything's herky-jerky here in VirtualBox. I'll go over how to change the mouse cursors. Very simple. Papyrus folder script. If you want to use a different color folder in your file manager, I included the Papyrus folder script to allow you to do that. Power management, just out of the box, Xset is being used to simply keep the screen from turning off. That's it. If you would prefer to use the power manager, I give instructions down here on what you need to do, because uncommenting and commenting items at startup is a little different if you've never used JWM. That's whatever is enclosed within these two sets of characters, that's considered being commented out. So if you wanted to run the Power Manager, you would need to remove those characters from both sides, but you would also need to add them to both of these Xset commands here. Okay? Alright, and finally, thanks and acknowledgments. And I think the developer of NuTyX, he's done something absolutely fantastic in providing NuTyX to the world. NuTyX has always been fast ever since I've used it, but I honestly think this JWM system is probably the look how quick that menu just reacts. I mean, it's instantaneous. This is the fastest system I've ever personally used. I also thank the developer of XDG Menu Maker. Man, what a great thing he has provided to the world too. And thanks to any users who may give this system a try. Alright, so thank you very much. Again, I'm not going to go over everything. If you've seen the previous video, you basically have already seen it all. But let's go ahead. I'm not going to install it from the live environment. You can do that. I don't know if it was a VirtualBox thing or what, but I've installed it from the live environment, I think 3 times, and it works fine on hardware every time. What happens though, if you're installing this from the live environment, you're going to go through all the same steps, but eventually it's going to reach a point and the N-Curses windows are just going to disappear. And at that point, you're going to need to reboot your computer and finish up the installation. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shut this down and do the install from the grub menu. And hope that it works better. Alright, let's start it again. And this time I'm going to choose install. Okay, so always takes a moment, especially here in VirtualBox, especially on my machine. You know, I was talking about that macaroni and cheese I had. You never think of macaroni and cheese as being a gourmet dish. But good grief, that stuff was good. Alright, here we go. Let's set up our locale. Boom, right there on it. I've done this so many times I know when I'm getting about to it, but that was pretty good shot there. Hit enter. And it always takes a moment here. Now normally when you're doing this on an actual computer, a screen will come up and say you can remove the ISO now. I don't know if it's going to do it here in VirtualBox or not. No, it didn't do it. Alright. NuTyX goes on one partition. That means don't make a home partition or anything like that. Just use one partition for the system and make you a swap partition if you want. And I recommend going to advanced. And I also want to remind you, please do this using an Ethernet cable and install Network Manager or Wicked after you've done the actual installation. Alright, go to advanced. How do I do it? You don't have to do that. Configure the keyboard. I'm going to go ahead. When I do this, I do every step. Well, almost every step. You don't have to. It's optional. You're going to have to do it again later, I believe. And my keyboard is US. Go back to advanced. Create your partitions. Yep, we need to do that. And this uses CF disk or F disk. I'm going to use CF disk. I'm going to use DOS. And I don't remember if I mentioned it. This does work the ISO will work in either UEFI or BIOS. Alright, we have 15 gigabytes. We're going to commit. We're going to we're going to make a new partition. And I'm going to make it 1 gigabyte for RAM. Hit enter. Primary. I need to make what type it is, so use your arrow key, go over to type, and we will choose Linux swap. Okay, now come down to the other one. We need to make that a new one. Use your arrow key, it should already be on new. Hit enter. This is going to be for our system, so I'm going to let it use the rest of it, 14 gigabytes. Primary. Need to make it bootable, or I do. I don't know if it is necessary, to be honest. I always make it bootable. The type is already set at Linux, but I'm going to click on it anyway just so you can see. Linux, okay, hit enter. And we want to write this out. Hit enter, go over to write and hit enter. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. Alright, the partition table has been altered, so we can now quit CF disk. Go back to advanced. Format a partition. Yes. And if you can see, it's saying, what file system do you want to use for partition dev SDA2? They recommend either BTRFS or ext4. I'll go ext4. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes. Back to advanced. Configure the boot of the PC is optional. No, because it's going to do that again in just a moment. That's if you want to put grub on a different partition. Okay. Install NuTyX. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video here because I learned from the last one it takes a while to do this in VirtualBox on this computer. Normally you can have NuTyX installed within less than 10 minutes. But this part right here takes a while. It's actually installing the system now. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and I will be back when it's over. Okay? Be right back. Okay, the installation has finished, and I just realized why I didn't get that pop-up message saying I could remove the ISO. NuTyX loads the ISO into RAM. So I've noticed when testing ISOs live, my RAM usage is usually like it's over a 1 gigabyte of usage, and I only gave this virtual machine 1 gigabyte, so that's why it didn't give me that message. I don't know what I'm doing. Alright, configure the boot of the PC. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, and a copy has been put there in boot/grub. And click on OK. And this is, I hope it's going to let me do that. Hold on. Oh, hold on, maybe it's actually working. Alright, we're configuring our keyboard. Oh, I hope it works. Set up that. Use space bar to put a mark on it. That's setting up the Ethernet card. Do auto. Yes. Yes, yes. Okay, now let's set up the actual user, which is going to be exactly the same. enter a real password for the user. And I think it worked this time. I think that was probably my problem last time, was I only gave it 1 gigabyte of RAM. Alright. So there you go. That's how you install NuTyX. Whether it's this ISO or another one, that's how you would do it. So the JWM ISO is ready. If you want to try it, I hope you enjoy it. And you guys have a great weekend. Thanks again so much to Terry for producing NuTyX. Thanks to the XDG menu maker developer, and thanks to any of you guys who might want to give it a try. Alright, you guys take care. Thanks for watching.